Welcome back, grade 4s, to another lesson presented by WorksheetCloud.com. I'm Mrs. Nicole Frank, and you are going to be partaking in an English home language lesson today. So, in my previous lessons, I've been looking at parts of speech and specifically nouns in the previous one. And I want us to look at the different parts of speech and see how they fit into a sentence. But for today, we are going to be focusing on adjectives, where they fit in a sentence, how they fit in a sentence, and where, if we are able to identify them. So for today, I hope you have a pencil or pen and a page ready so that you can write down anything you might find useful from this lesson. But if you feel like just watching along and learning, that's good too. I'm happy for sharing it out in your room somewhere. If you have any questions, grade 4s, about this lesson and something you think I didn't cover, please send an email to grade4@worksheetcloud.com and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible after this lesson. If your parents have any queries, please direct them to the FAQs on this website and I'm sure it will cover any questions that they might have. So, like I said in the introduction, we are going to be focusing on adjectives for today. And we are going to look at specific outcomes. The outcomes I would like to have for this particular lesson is, I would like you to understand what an adjective is. I would like you to be able to identify an adjective in a sentence. I would like you to be able to use an adjective in a sentence. And those are the things that I would like to cover in this lesson. If I don't cover it, grade 4s, please send the email to the address that I spoke about in the beginning of this lesson. So, let's get into it. What is an adjective? It is a describing word. So it basically describes any kind of word? Well, let's see. They are used to describe nouns. That sounds very familiar. What are nouns? Nouns are naming words. And if you watched the previous lesson, you'd see that we went through the types of nouns and what nouns are in the previous lesson. So, for the purposes of this lesson, I have captured a picture for you and I've placed it on the screen in front of you. What I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this picture and think about what you see. So you are looking at this picture and I want you to think about the following things. What do you see in this picture? You can write it down if you want to. You can shout it out if you want to. But as long as you're thinking about these questions that I'm asking you now. What do the flowers look like? What colors are they? Do you think this place is safe or dangerous? When you look at it, does it make you feel safe or does it make you feel like you'd be scared to walk alone there? Think about that. What do the trees look like? Describe what you see. So for a moment, I'm going to leave this on your screen and I want you to just take a moment to look at it, think about the questions, write them down if you want to, or just keep them in the back of your mind. I hope you're thinking grade 4. I'll leave it on for a few more seconds. So, let's see what words we could come up with. So I put the picture back onto the screen now. And remember something, that I might have words that you don't have and you might have words that I don't have. But that's fine. We're not going to say one is right and one is wrong. For the purposes of this lesson, I've chosen some words and then we're going to use those words in sentences. So here's the picture again. I thought that Trees have very strong trunks, right? I also thought that this picture was pretty beautiful. The whole garden, the whole setup is very beautiful. And that I thought was a wonderful descriptive word for this picture. I see a lot of greenery. There are other colors as well, but I think green stands out the most. Maybe some of you had the word green as well. I see tall trees, and normally trees are quite big. So I'm describing the size of the tree. I think it would possibly be quite a quiet place, because if I be walking around there, you don't see a lot of people, you don't see people making a noise or playing games, so it looks like a very quiet place. I see pink flowers, and over here we can see some pink flowers. And there's a road over there, which I think looks pretty lonely. What do you think? Because I mean, surely you thought about it and you thought if you walk down that road by yourself, it would feel kind of lonely to walk there. The quiet, even though it must be also quite calming and relaxing because the whole scenery is quite beautiful. So I hope that you got some of the words that I got from this picture. Some of you might have also looked at the sky and said that there was a beautiful sky up there, or spoke more about the flowers, or maybe you spoke about this little shrubs on the side of the road. That's perfect. As long as you looked at the picture and used some words to describe it, that's wonderful. Grade 4s. So I'm sure you had some more, which is perfect. But let's look at the ones that I got. So we have learned that adjectives are describing words, and they can be used to describe pictures like in the one we used before. The adjectives we found were, so I've basically listed the adjectives that I found in this picture. But like I said, I'm happy if you have different ones, because remember, we don't all think the same, and we don't look at a picture and all think the same thing. So it's perfect if you have your own kind of adjectives as well. Strong, tall, quiet, green, beautiful, pink, and lonely. So those are the ones that I took out of that picture. So I hope that you had some of them at least, or if not, and you've gotten different words or synonyms, that's fine too. We are going to move on to the next lesson now. So we are going to use our adjectives in sentences. So in the beginning of the lesson, I said to you that one of the outcomes is that I would like you to be able to use an adjective in a sentence. So in the previous slides now, what we've done up until now, we looked at the picture and we described it. We basically used describing words and we plucked it on the picture, and now we are going to take those words out like we did, and we're going to put them into a sentence. So, in the garden, there were trees. The trees were, there was a, the garden was, but had, it was a place. So, what do adjectives actually do in a sentence? So, this is quite wonderful, grade 4s, because if I had to read the sentences without the adjectives first, I think it would be pretty boring. So let's just read the sentences without the adjectives. In the garden there were trees. The trees were, there was a road. The garden was, but had flowers. It was a place. That seems really, really boring, grade 4s. So now I think it's a good idea for us to put some life into this sentence. So let's do that. In the quiet garden, there were tall trees. Now can you start picturing it? Instead of saying in the garden there were trees. Okay, but now we are giving some life to the sentences. We are giving some life to the paragraph. So, in the quiet garden there were tall trees. The trees were strong. Okay, so now it's not just any trees, they were strong trees. There was a lonely road. I mean, anybody could say, oh, there was a road, but it's important to describe what kind of road it was. And it was a lonely road. It wasn't full of traffic or a lot of people. It was a lonely road. The garden was green, but had pink flowers. So even though there was a green garden, they had some other different colors as well. They were pink flowers. So that kind of broke the greenery in the picture. And it was a beautiful place. It wasn't just any place. It wasn't just a plain place. It was a beautiful place. So let's read our sentences now again so that we can see how our adjectives gave some life to these sentences. In the quiet garden, there were tall trees. The trees were strong. There was a lonely road. The garden was green but had pink flowers. It was a beautiful place. I think that was really, really well done. Well done, grade 4s. Identifying adjectives in a sentence. So now we are moving away from putting adjectives in a sentence. We are now moving on to identifying the adjectives in a sentence. So how do I identify the different adjectives in a sentence? Let's see how. Firstly, I find the noun. Remember we spoke about the nouns earlier? Naming words. Secondly, what word describes or tells us more about the noun? We ask ourselves that question. Okay, so basically we look at the sentence and then we see where is the noun here, and then we ask ourselves what tells us more about this noun. And this will be the adjective. Let's do it in practice. So, the girl wore a blue dress. In the sentence, we found two nouns, girl and dress. There is nothing before girl, so basically we know that there is no adjective to describe the girl. However, there could be one in front of dress. Let's see. The girl wore a blue dress. So, that is my adjective. So now I found the adjective to describe my noun, which is dress. Practice time. Underline the adjectives in the following sentences. Jamie kicked a huge ball. Insika jumped over the high wall. Ross wore strange glasses. Penny ran into a dangerous area. The wonderful audience were amazed at the talented artist. The artist is behind me, so I'm going to lift myself up over here so that you can see the sentences clearly. I'm going to leave this on for a little bit and I'm going to give you some time to complete it. Remember grade 4s? Find the nouns. Okay, so once you find the nouns, it will be pretty easy to find the adjectives. That's just my clue. Few more seconds to go, and then I'm going to put the answers up. Okay, so let's look at the first question. Okay, the first sentence. Jamie kicked a huge ball. So I'm going to quickly get my I wanted to get my pen quickly just so that we can say, but I'll use this in the meanwhile. Let's ask ourselves some questions. We are the nouns in the sentence. We have Jamie here in front. Jamie, a huge ball, kicked a huge ball. So Jamie and ball are my nouns. There is nothing describing Jamie at this point. So let's look at ball. Is there any word describing ball? Does kick describe the ball? No. No, so huge is my adjective. Very good. Insika jumped over the high wall. Again, Insika and wall are my nouns, So I'm looking for words that tells me more about those nouns, okay? And I can see there's nothing that describes in seeker, but there is a word that's describing wall, and that word is high. Very good. Ross wore strange glasses. Ross and glasses are my nouns, and wore is my verb. So there's just one other word here, which is strange, and that is my adjective describing the word glasses. Penny ran into a dangerous area. So Penny is a proper noun, yes, because it's the beginning of a sentence, but that isn't what's in a capital letter. Remember, proper nouns always start with a capital letter. And she ran into a dangerous area. So area is my noun as well, and dangerous is my adjective. The wonderful audience were amazed at the talented artist. So audience is a noun, artist is a noun, and now I'm going to look for words that describes those two nouns. So the wonderful audience, so wonderful is my adjective, were amazed at the talented artist. Talented is my other adjective. Well done, grade 4. So, answer time. Here we have our answers. I'm going to leave that on there for a few seconds so that you can just get a look at it and see where we found our answers. So we see huge, high, strange, dangerous, wonderful, and talented. Some words that give some extra life to our sentences. Right. Let's recap. And I'm going to bring myself down here again so that you can see clearly what I'm about to show you. Right. So, adjectives describe a noun. They can be called describing words. If you want to find an adjective, look for the nouns in the sentence and see if any word is telling you more about the noun. For example, is it pretty or ugly? Big or small? Colorful or dull? So is the word telling you about the noun, giving the noun some description, like that girl, beautiful, tall, blonde, brunette, perfect. You know, what is telling you more about that particular noun? And that will tell you what the adjective is. So, have you met the outcomes of this lesson? Have you? Let's see. Can you understand what an adjective is? Identify an adjective in a sentence. Use an adjective in a sentence. If you are able to do these things, then we are good to go, grade 4s, because you have met the outcomes of this lesson. Thank you so much for joining me. And remember, if you have any questions about this lesson or any of my other lessons, please send an email to grade4@worksheetcloud.com and we will get back to you as soon as we can after this lesson. Remember, an activity is provided for you after this lesson, so please look on the website and see the activity that is named adjectives in the folder that you found this lesson. Have a wonderful day further, grade 4s, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Well, I hope you look forward to seeing me tomorrow. Bye!